worldwide. Download
Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, he was going to be with us for a couple hours, but we got our wires crossed. He was supposed to be on yesterday, so he'll be with us for an hour today. No fault of mine. He's just got a scheduling problem. He's coming to the United States, and I want to get him on when he's in the States for a couple hours from his hotel room. The events are coming up the 27th and 28th in Santa Clara, California, in Los Angeles, the $1 Million Theater on the evening of Wednesday, October 1st. The website's davidicke.com, and that tells you who is with us for the next hour. In fact, I'm going to skip some breaks for Infowars.com stream listeners today because we only have an hour with him. I want to be able to give him as much time as possible to cover what's happening. He just stood for Parliament. His whole point was to educate people about how it was all a farce. He did that. I want to get the aftermath of that. I also, with David Icke, he's been for over a decade predicting this world financial collapse by design. No one is saying that, even though the IMF and World Bank documents from 2001, 2002 admit it's by design. And Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize winner, came on here 2 days ago and said on air that, yes, basically this is engineered, as he said a few years ago on the show. So we've got David Icke on about that and where he sees the future going. I mean, they gear up the police state, they stage a terror attack to roll that out publicly, then they cause a financial implosion where people will be more apt to grovel to them in this modern system, believing that their masters will take care of them. So go to davidicke.com to find out about these rare appearances. He only comes here about once a year, or less sometimes, of David Icke. I mean, I'm tempted to go out there and see him. But I just don't have the time to do it. But if you live on the West Coast or anywhere out there, find out more at davidicke.com. David, it is a real pleasure to have you on with us. Go ahead, David. I had your phone faded down. It's good to have you here, David. Oh, we dropped him. You know what? Let's do this on the Genesis phone systems. I want Genesis to call him. See, that wasn't Cindy Sheehan that was getting disconnected. That's our phone system. That IP phone does that. It never ends. David, you're there?
I'm there, mate. Yeah.
Okay, good to have you back. You're coming to America?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm coming in the next a few days, and it really is a time when all of us have got to start talking louder than ever because this is moving on so fast.
Well, there's a quickening happening, and I don't know how soon you cut off there when we first got you on. The global financial meltdown, this is being engineered. We have their own documents.
Oh, absolutely. We've had our own one here today with the biggest mortgage lender in Britain, the Halifax Bank of Scotland, being taken over by Lloyds TSB. And then you've got a situation where you've got a merged company, Halifax and Bank of Scotland, being taken over now by another merged company, Lloyds and TSB. We're now in a situation where it's not just big fish taking over smaller fish. It's big fish being taken over by mega fish. And one aspect of this, Alex, is the rapid speed of, if you like, globalization, centralization of power in the banking system, as is being accepted here. This merger today, which is now giving this merged company 40% currently of British current accounts, would never have been allowed by the monopoly laws, but because of the problems this biggest mortgage lender has had and was going to collapse, that's all put aside, and now we have this mega banking operation. And as you say, it's moving so fast, and in the end, we're now seeing in our face what has always been the case. It's always been the case that a few have controlled the banking system, but they've used a stream of front names and masks. Now the mask is lifting, and we're seeing this in front of our eyes now.
Well, you're absolutely right. The IMF and World Bank documents stated that they do this in third world countries, that they wanted to do this in the West. The, quote, bailout is the real theft because the elites already took the real assets out of the banks and then and then leveraged them into other assets and then took those assets out into infrastructure and commodities. And now they're going to leave us holding the entire bag, not to bail them out, but to get us into greater debt. We're going to skip this break with David Icke right now so we can have more time with him. Stay with us. David, let's continue. And if your phone, if the connection cuts out again, I'm going to call you from another network line. John, if David drops again, call him from the Minnesota studios, okay?
Okay, you got it.
Okay, thank you so much. In fact, let's introduce John Harmon. John's been my on-site engineer up in Minnesota. I'm down in Texas for the last 4 years, and he is the best on-site, off-site producer I've ever had. Say hi to David, John.
Hello, Mr. Ike. How you doing?
Hello, John. All right, mate.
Nice to talk to you.
Okay, to explain.
Yeah, you too.
To explain.
Congratulations on the job you do. You know, we need as many people who know how the system works as we can, because we really got to get this out now.
Well,
thank you, sir.
To explain how this works, only the internet audience will hear us in these behind-the-scene discussions, but still,
right.
that tends to even be a bigger audience in the aggregate. The AM and FMs and satellite come back after the breaks.
Right.
But in the aggregate, over time, this all gets put as video. We're on prisonplanet.tv right now, streaming live. It'll be archived later, and then it gets ripped to YouTube and Live Link and Motion and all the other big sites that are out there. So we'll be covering it. We're going to come back to the full audience in 2 minutes, but I'm going to skip some of the breaks this hour, if that's okay with you. But just give us a preview. What are some of the things? I've mentioned what I want to talk about, the engineered implosion of the economy. Sounds like you do want to go there, David, but what are some of the other things you want to talk about?
Well, I think the important thing is to know where they want to take us, and this manipulation now, quite blatant, of the financial markets is taking us in that direction of a world government, world army, world central bank, world currency, world microchip population. And what we're seeing now is the dramatic centralization of power in the banking system. Because in the end, they want just one centralized world banking system. They want one centralized everything. And the more that they are dismantling choice, the more they're dismantling diversity, even apparent diversity, the more they're hurtling towards this point of centralization.
That's right.
The other thing that I feel that it's important to understand is that on another level of this, creating this structure, like the world army and the world government, they want a world war. They want a third world war. And we've reached the point now where they're now starting to throw everything they can at us, the kitchen sink at us, because they're desperate to bring this in not a long time scale, and therefore they're throwing everything at us that they can. And the more they can create fear on a financial level, on a conflict level, whatever, the more people are going to open up to tell us how we can bring an end to this.
Stay there. Let's cover.
The end will be their agenda of the global fascist state.
David, we're coming back live. Here we go.
You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
The financial collapse that we are witnessing has been engineered. That's in the IMF and World Bank document plans. The Rothschilds in 1815, this is mainline history, knew that Napoleon had lost. They had their fast ships race across the channel hours before anybody else and say that Lord Wellington and the Austrians have lost. And then the stocks plunged by 98%, as we cover in my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And then they bought up the entire stock exchange and the brokerage houses and banking houses for pennies on the dollar. And it is the same thing with the economy or bailing it out. Treasury Secretary Paulson has even told the Congress, you're not involved in this. And Congress says, but we're involved in funding. And they said, look, we have a private government now under the Federal Reserve. That's in the news. And so you have it all openly consolidating down to one system. And David Icke's going to be talking about how this has been engineered. He's been predicting this for more than a decade. And then we're going to get into how they want to also create World War III, global conflict, to create the fear so that they can sell the cashless society control grid. They have to destroy the dollar, destroy the pound, destroy the old order.